Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, dudes. Time for some football takes.
Time for some football takes.
Our little space every week here on Purple Daily where we get to go outside of Vikings purview and give takes on the rest of the league at large here.
This is one good thing about Vikings primetime games. It just allows you to just soak in the noon starts and then some of the 3
full
o'clock.
day.
Exactly right. I mean, just formulating takes with a notepad on the couch. Stella and Barney there helping me out. It's really outstanding.
Workshopping those takes with the dogs. So, well, why don't you start us off? We'll go around the room. We'll do some football takes. We've got Dex's updated tiers this week here, too. So, let's do it.
Okay. My first take is this, and it's a take and an apology. So I guess it's a take about myself a little bit because I'd like to apologize to one Danny Dimes Jones, Indianapolis, Indiana, for saying, you left QB rehab school too early, son. You're going to not be successful, son. Like, I thought I knew everything. I was the old wise man. Well, who's laughing now? So, Daniel Jones not only beats out Anthony Richardson in the quarterback battle with the Colts, but he has the Colts off to a 2-0 start for the first time since 2009. In 2 games, he's thrown for 588 yards, including 316 on Sunday against the Broncos. Just 1 touchdown, so he's got 2 touchdowns on the season. But his passer rating currently through these 2 games, 111.1, and he looks the part. Like it doesn't look fluky. He looks really, really good. So my take is, I got to check myself. I got to look in the mirror. What was I thinking?
This is a rarity because there's been many times where a player in, whether it's football or it could be like a Twins pitcher, will put together many more good games than 2.
That's true.
And there'll be like a half season of evidence, and you'll still say, "Wake me in October. Wake me next year. I need to see 3 years of sample before I apologize."
You know what's
why so quick on the apology?
Because I said that he had left QB Kevin O'Connell's, and I know the current quarterback there is not doing well, so I will acknowledge that. But he left KOC's QB rehab school early, and I thought, this doesn't make a lot of sense. What are you doing? But he's looked good. He's looked very good. And football, of course, is a little bit more immediate than baseball because then I get to see start after start after start. Football, we don't play the amount of games. But, ordinarily I turn on a guy after he's here, right? Dylan Bundy. I never believed in him, but I didn't believe in him from watching him as a Twin. Daniel Jones, I turned on because, well, first of all, I felt spurned, as the Vikings did. And I think so far, there's no question. Through 2 games, he made the right move, and he looks like a different QB. Now, does getting out of the dysfunctional Giants situation help and being out of that spotlight help? I'm sure it does help. But he clearly cleared his head and so far has his team in good shape.
How far do you want to take this take? I'm just going to ask you a question or two. So Daniel Jones is still just 28 years old. He was once the 6th overall pick in the draft, and the Vikings had him in school. They had him in school for the last month last year.
Yep.
And it wasn't, Sam Darnold, the price to keep Sam Darnold in your program, if you will, was $100 million over 3 years, right? That was the going rate at the end of the day for Sam Darnold.
Sure.
The going rate to keep Daniel Jones. Now, he wanted a clear path to a starting job,
right.
And Anthony Richardson's erratic performance was just a much wider door in that case. But you could have had Daniel Jones for, say, $20 million, and now you're going to give McCarthy all the reps I get throughout summer. So no matter what, McCarthy was probably going to start the year. But watching the first 2 games of Jones in Indy and McCarthy with the Vikings, if you could go back to the spring and say, Daniel Jones, 2 years, $40 million, and you just park McCarthy until further notice.
Oh, God.
Would you go back and redo your march?
You're burning his entire. You're basically doing what the Packers did with Jordan Love, right? You're burning his entire rookie contract.
Yeah, I'm poking at your take.
I know.
I want to see. I want to see how far you'll take the take.
I'm not debating you. I'm in pain thinking about this. My head hurts. I will say this though, of the alternatives. So if you were to have told of the three guys, two of whom faced off on Sunday, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. Rodgers cheaper than Jones probably.
Yeah.
Darnold not cheap. And I had to pick one right now. I'm picking Jones. I'm picking Jones. Darnold, I thought actually had a good game against the Steelers on Sunday, but he cost too much.
Yeah.
Rodgers, I just don't trust him. By the way, he came back down to earth big time on Sunday. We started to see some of the Jets Rodgers yesterday. So I guess not to fully answer your question, but to come halfway, I would pick Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask it in this way. All right. Let's say there was a universe where JJ McCarthy is parked off to the side for whatever the reason.
Sure.
And you have your choice between the three guys you just mentioned. Sam Darnold for a little more money. It's funny because Sam Darnold at $33 million is actually really cheap relative to high-end starting quarterbacks.
Right.
But by far the most expensive of the three options we're talking about. Daniel Jones for like $20 million or something, and then Aaron Rodgers. And those three guys in each case are your starting quarterback, presumably for 17 games if healthy. How many wins do the Vikings have if you had a parallel universe of all three of those guys get their crack at it? Like Sam, we got to see the parallel universe last year. Darnold got to do it, and they won 14 games, and he threw for 4,000 yards. What does the Viking season look like with each of those three guys fully installed as starting quarterback?
Oh my God. That is a loaded question. I think with Darnold or Jones, I think with Darnold you can win 11 games. Now we do have to factor in that guys are hurt now who weren't hurt a year ago, so that's going to take away from all three of them. Mm-hmm. But I think Darnold can win you at the end of the day 11-ish games. 14's a lot, so I don't think that's a realistic number. I think Jones can win you 10 or 11. Rodgers, I don't know because I don't think he's going to stay healthy. So I would actually put him at like 9.
Okay. Yeah, I think, Daniel Jones, he's very athletic. He's a big dude, right? Was he like 6'5" or something?
He's
6
got
foot, whatever.
The cut jaw too, that chiseled jaw.
He looks very quarterback-ian,
yes.
If you will. But yeah, this version of Daniel Jones using his mobility, throwing down the field, not throwing interceptions, which has always been a calling card. I think it's like a 12-win team. They're obviously sacrificing short-term gain for long-term gain, and they're hoping that McCarthy reaches an acceptable point as quickly as possible so you can maximize the gain in the long run.
If this continues for any amount of time with McCarthy continuing to struggle to drive the car, the national pundits are going to be all over this one.
Yeah.
What you just said. They're going to be all over it. They've started to mention it. Collinsworth did last night, but it's going to grow.
I want to give you a Bears take here, and then we'll do Dex's tiers, and we may even be able to do a couple laps around the room here on this Monday, day after week 2 games. All right. I guess my take is, to steal a famous phrase, the Bears are who I thought they were. I would have said we, but I feel like there's been a lot of pushback from even Judd in some cases. But there's a lot of people in the football media and fans that thought this was going to be a team that competed for the division, like the NFC North title, and that they were a playoff team. And there's been some 9.5 numbers out there, 8.5, 9.5. Some people are hammering the over on the Bears in the preseason. And my question back to everyone, now that we've seen the first 2 weeks, it was a first guess for yours. I'm wrong a lot. This was a first guess for me. They were always starting 0-2. Always starting 0-2. First game of the season, erratic quarterback who doesn't know what he's looking at with a new offense, brand new head coach. You're playing a 14-win Vikings team in the Brian Flores defense. Now, they were up by double digits or whatever at one point, and the Vikings came storming back. So that game got dicey. But then in week 2, you're playing at Detroit. And I know Detroit missing a couple coordinators here. So your first 2 games of the season are against 14 and 15 win teams one of which may have taken a little step back with like offensive linemen retiring or whatever. And then after that, the Bears have one of the most brutal schedules in the league too. So like anyone who thought rationally, this is a playoff team or this is a team that can compete for the NFC North title, did you bake in an 0-2 start to the season, or did you have logical reasons why you thought they were going to get off to a hot start? Like no one thought about it. Yeah, they're just like, well, Ben Johnson's going to come in and
they just thought that Ben Johnson was going to be the answer.
Maybe at some point, but like against the Vikings and the Bears in the first 2 weeks, the whole thing, the hype train every year is out of control with the Bears because people want the Bears to be relevant, and they haven't been for like 20 years. So what did people think was going to happen? Well, this is exactly what was destined to happen. And maybe they look better in October and November and Ben Johnson gets it turned around, but it's always been a crazy uphill climb for this team. And here we are.
Well, I think when you immediately crapped on the Bears, I tried to slow your roll, but then when the national people all started to say, "Oh, this is going to be," and then they made it sound like there were people picking them to win the damn division.
Dude,
or be near the top of the division.
Yeah.
That's when I soured on them. And I came back and said, yeah, I mean, you have no idea. And just because a guy is a good OC does not mean that he immediately graduates to being a great head coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, that game yesterday, and there's the Lions side of this too, where a lot of people, I mean, you guys had them missing the playoffs, and we'll see at the end of the day because they have a tough schedule too, but like, just because they lost a couple pieces here and there doesn't mean they're going from 15 wins to 7. Like, everyone just take a deep breath.
I think there's a chance, though, that these first 2 games are an indicator that the Bears still suck.
Bears still suck.
They're definitely, definitely disorganized.
It also worries me a little bit more, and, each game is its own entity, but the opener now, like that Vikings win being so nip and tuck, actually concerns me a little bit more now.
I think
50 burger.
It doesn't concern me because I think the reason why it was nip and tuck was less about the Bears and more about the Vikings.
Sure.
Are trying to get this thing started with a bunch of injuries and a quarterback who's never played before. And whatever the Vikings are now is going to be lesser than what they are in 2 months. Now the schedule might be harder in 2 months. So you might lose games even if you're playing better. But I don't. Yeah, like someone tweeted at me yesterday, and I replied just with some context of Jared Goff just threw for 350 yards and a bunch of touchdowns against that same Bears defense that Jared Goff's been around for like 9 years. Jared Goff's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league for 7 years. He's played in the Super Bowl. And so the Lions should have a better chance to dismantle the Bears than a Vikings team without its left tackle, wide receiver number 2, and first time ever starting quarterback on a Monday night game.
It was the 50 points that stopped me.
It's a lot of points.
50 freaking points.
Yeah.
Dennis Allen, thought you were a genius as a DC.
So, we'll see where it lands in October, November, December, but the gap was, everyone said the gap is closing between the Bears and the Lions showed yesterday. Not yet, it's not. So let's all take a deep breath and calm down.
Let's see where the Lions fall. Let's see where the Vikings fall. Let's see where the NFC North falls. Dex tiers, week 2. Coming up here. I'm going to put this on the screen.
Wow, look at this.
Pop this on. Look at this handsome devil here.
Wow,
look at Dex's tiers.
Look at the graphics department. Just hard at work here.
Yeah.
When you're pulling photos of yourself, that's when you know you got it.
Yep. Well,
I pulled that photo for Dex.
Phil did.
I will shield Dex from that level of criticism there. I'm not going to shield him from whatever these tiers are going to say.
Yep.
But
Fair.
I did pull that photo for Dex for the graphics department.
All right. That's awesome.
So just a little tease. Some categories remain from a week ago, and some new categories have entered the chat.
Wow.
So, and teams have been shuffled a little bit here and there. So some remaining tier names from last week and some new ones. So one that stays the same from week 2 in the NFL. Your Lombardi winners, the 2 best teams I think that looked the part this year so far, are the Eagles, who went into Arrowhead, dominated in a game where it was low scoring, but they dominated in Arrowhead. They won convincingly at home in week 1. And then the Green Bay Packers, The Packers look legit, dudes. They look really damn good.
They do.
So I'll
great.
crown your Week 2 Lombardi winners, a category I used last week with the Eagles and the Packers.
If the Packers do indeed, much to the chagrin of Vikings fans, win a Super Bowl, they need to invite Jerry Jones up on the stage.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
That Micah
Dude,
Parsons-
did you see Jerry's reaction when Aubrey hit the 64-yarder to send that game to overtime against the Giants?
Yeah.
Because he's once again seeing his season flash before his eyes, about to lose to the Giants at home, right? And the old Jerry can cling to the 8 or 9 wins that his team is. But yeah, Micah Parsons has changed the complexion of that defense, man.
Yep. Jerry Jones should, in fact, he should get a ring.
Oh, look at this! Wow, look at
Legit
this.
contenders from last week. This is also a little bit of shuffling, but Bills and Ravens. I know both those two teams face each other in epic Week 1 back and forth, but I do think both of them are legitimate contenders, obviously. Yeah. And then the Niners, who had to start Mac Jones, and Mac Jones was just fine because Kyle Shanahan builds a system where you can put in a guy like Mac Jones, who, if you go back like 4 years ago, that's who Mac Jones thought was drafting him. Now he kind of comes full circle back in San Francisco. Even though that team might be a little banged up, Brock Purdy does have the turf toe, so it might be Mac Jones for a little bit. They are built for one last run here of being legitimate contenders in the NFC. I would put them, if I was ranking these 3 teams, or even the 5 teams, if I include the Packers and Eagles, they're probably 5th behind all the other teams above them. So don't look at like San Francisco in the middle as above Baltimore necessarily. But they're a contender. They're a legit contender in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones was. It is amazing. You can just kind of plug dudes into that system, and it's Mac Jones's performance yesterday for the 49ers is even more evidence of the riskiness of paying Brock Purdy $55 million a year. It's like, no offense, Brock, you're a fairly talented guy, even though you were the last pick in the 7th round of the draft.
Right.
But it's more the system and the things around the quarterback than it is the actual trigger man.
And that's more of a discussion point now. I guess my question on San Fran and its TBD is this. How long does McCaffrey stay healthy?
Yep.
And then, as we talked about, his impact on Purple Daily as well, Trent Williams at left tackle almost always gets hurt. So, you strip those 2 away, which is very plausible, and it goes downhill.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan, when he has some of the most important pieces of his offense, a lot of quarterbacks can drive that car, and it's impressive. And now the question is, if Mac Jones plays a lot, which I think he might, and he is considered to be rehabbed, does he get a second chance elsewhere with a decent, not great payday?
No. Yeah, Niners schedule too, very favorable because they had a down year last year.
Next tier, are you legit? We just talked about Danny Dimes. Colts 2-0. They're scoring all the time. They're barely punting. Are you legit? Are you legitimate here?
I don't think they punted once this season.
Yeah, it's been pretty nuts watching what they have done so far on offense. A few other teams in this tier, obviously. I know the Commanders slipped up. I still think they're legit, but, they played a really, really good Packers team, so I'm not going to slight them there. The Falcons, the Falcons were a missed kick away from going to overtime in Week 1. Michael Penix has looked pretty dang good so far. They finally have a pass rush for the first time in literally decades. Yes, I obviously got to watch the whole thing, so maybe there's a little bit of bias creeping in here. And they could maybe even belong in one of my other tiers, but are they legit? Cardinals and Rams too fall into this category of how legitimate. I don't think they're. I know the Rams have the coach and quarterback, so there could be a little bit of disrespect there. But how legit and how healthy can they stay? The Cardinals are 2-0, which is good and exciting. I picked them to make the playoffs, but still trying to figure out how legit they are. So these are your teams in your are you legit tier.
Yeah, the NFC West is, I think, 7-1 to start the season because the Cardinals are 2-0, Niners are 2-0, Rams, like Stafford being healthy. If you could guarantee Stafford being healthy, then I think most people would say, oh yeah, the Rams are like an 11 or 12 win team and they're going to be in the mix. But there's just skepticism about his health. And I think people found out last night that the Falcons are better than most think.
Yeah.
The Falcons have been this kind of middling 7 to 8 win team for a number of years, essentially since they went to the Super Bowl and had a 28-3 lead. But Michael Penix can sling it. They've got some weapons. They've got one of the 3 best running backs in the league.
Yep.
Their tight end Kyle Pitts is coming around. And the Colts. So the Colts are a team that I think people have mistakenly cast into the coach on a hot seat kind of. They keep jumping from quarterback to quarterback, but Shane Steichen has been really competitive with a really large mix of quarterbacks and talent and inaccuracies with Anthony Richardson. So, and also Jonathan Taylor off to a great start this season. Once upon a time, not that long ago, he was considered one of the 3 or 4 best running backs in the league. Was it 4 years ago? I think it was year 2, and he ran for almost 2,000 yards in a season for the Colts. So if that dude's healthy, you're getting like a, maybe not S tier, but you're getting, I wouldn't say he's on that like Derrick Henry, Saquon when those guys are hot, but he's right in that kind of 1B running back tier.
If Daniel Jones continues to play, and it's 2 games in, obviously, but if he continues to play like he's currently playing, I think that saves a lot of jobs too, because the Richardson miss is massive.
Yeah.
But then again, so is the Trey Lance miss, right? Mm-hmm. But you take the last pick of the entire bleeping draft, and that kid wins. So Jones is obviously much higher profile than Purdy was at the time, but in some ways I think there's parallels there if you do whiff, if you have somebody who can save you from it.
You know what? Just quick, one more side tangent that we can keep going through the tiers here. The impatience of the NFL has opened up an entirely new market for really talented quarterbacks that the original team thinks is cooked, but actually aren't cooked. The Sam Darnolds, the Daniel Joneses, the Baker Mayfields, Geno Smith a few years back with Seattle and now the Raiders, right? Because these guys get through, and Anthony Richardson might come around. I don't think he's accurate enough. I actually don't think he hits that. You got to be able to complete like 59% of your passes, and he can't. But teams sour on quarterbacks, fire people, and bail, and then the quarterback that's deemed a bust is 27 years old or 28 years old and might still have a decade in the NFL and was like the 5th overall pick or the 1st overall pick, Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. And then you can go get that guy on the market for half or a quarter of what the top quarterbacks on the market make, Baker Mayfield, and throw for 4,500 yards and lead the league in touchdown passes. And Daniel Jones might be an example of that with the Colts. Mac Jones in San Francisco. Like, if they had to lean into him for 2 months and he plays like that, Mac Jones is like 27 years old and a former top half of the 1st round draft pick. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be the second coming of Tom Brady like they hope he was, but the impatience of teams and the league has opened up an interesting new quarterback market.
Mm-hmm. Congrats on destroying the Bears tier, the Detroit Lions. Congrats on destroying a putrid franchise. So I'm not going to put them in the same tier. Now, the Vikings did not destroy the Bears, because at one point this tier was named Congrats on beating the Bears. And I thought about, well, I can put both, because the Lions and the Vikings belong in the wins against the Bears. But I have put the Vikings with another team, spoiler alert, in another tier. So the Lions took care of business against a bad team. Might be the old Lions again, hanging a 50 burger, but they get their own spot in their own tier. It's congrats on destroying the Bears.
The disrespect is palpable here. Yeah, I'm fine with making the Lions earn it for one more week here, but I feel like the last 2 years of equity built up by the Lions should overshadow getting beat by a really good Packers team in week 1. And whether it's Dex's tiers or everybody else, the Lions are still probably one of the 5 best teams in the NFL. And they lost to maybe one of the other 5 best teams in the NFL in week 1.
Yeah.
Jared Goff didn't forget how to throw accurate passes. Their running backs didn't go off the age cliff overnight. So,
bringing back another tier, too early to tell. Seahawks, Broncos, Steelers, Patriots, Jags. There's a lot of takeaways from a lot of these teams here. So Judd brought up how Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers might be like back to being Aaron Rodgers vindictive, and he can be an a-hole. Jacksonville, the Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence thing, like, oh, that that was the thing on the sides where you have Trevor Lawrence shaking off his head coach, and the coach is trying to get his attention. That doesn't look great. I mean, yes, winning helps things, but it's a little too early to tell. Drake May and the Patriots, I like Mike Vrabel a lot, so I probably am more bullish on them than a lot of the other teams. The Broncos, who obviously the Colts beat 29-28 in a crazy last-second situation.
They got screwed. The Broncos got screwed. The Broncos are 2-0. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they should be 2. So maybe that's another tier. They should be 2-0. Broncos should be in that group, but still a little too early to tell because I don't know. I don't think I put Broncos in legit contenders. So that's where I put all these 5 kind of jumbled teams right now.
Dude, officials need to, if there's like a super high leverage game winning play happening, it has to be so egregious for you to actually call something.
Yep.
In my opinion, I am all for situational officiating, and like, what are you calling in that spot?
And a 15-yarder. It's 15 yards, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's unsportsmanlike
Huge
conduct because it's a dangerous play. But then to go back and watch, and it's like that didn't look that dangerous to me.
It did not.
Right.
That's also why 15-yard penalties should be reviewable, and it should be that's kind of a subjective call of, all right, there's kind of guys piling. Let it go. To swing a game winner like that is ridiculous.
On Rodgers, I just thought he looked old again. Like, he's an old man. He's trying to play a game. There's very few guys. I mean, Tom Brady ain't the norm. And I thought he just looked old. And I don't know that that's going to be – I just don't think you're going to get the consistency that you once did. And the problem, too, is Aaron plays at times like he's still 34.
Yeah, he does. He does think he's a little more mobile than maybe he is. He gets a little lazy with the arm slot mechanics sometimes, like 10 years ago.
That's my big thing, because the arm slot mechanics used to be impeccable.
Yep. Yeah, I would say if you could run that game back, run the fourth quarter back without the boneheaded play by Johnson. Shocking, an Iowa player would lack an understanding of the nuances of return rules in football. I know that's crazy. But to let that kickoff bounce off your helmet into the end zone and then not go after it is pretty wild, and that kind of put a kibosh on the game.
But the explanation was, so if the ball hits in the landing zone, which it did initially, it's live no matter what. You've got to pick it up.
So even if it doesn't hit you,
it doesn't matter.
It's a live ball.
The fact that it hit him didn't matter. He still didn't pick up the damn ball.
But the fact that it did hit him is bro, it hit you.
I know.
The ball's live.
I know. And the Jaguars thing, Dex, I think is really intriguing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. They're not a bad team, but that was a weird thing.
Going on the road, getting beat, Joe Burrow gets knocked out, and you still lose that game. That's a tough one. Okay.
You could easily be 0-2.
Wow.
You could easily be 0-2. 2 teams for the audio audience. YouTube can see it right here. Cowboys and Vikings. The Cowboys were seconds away from being beat by a resurgent Russell Wilson and trusted and opted willingly for apparently, I guess, the greatest kicker in the game in Brandon Aubrey to drill and nail a 60. If that went wonky, oh my God, Stephen A. Smith is feasting right now on First Take. Yes, the offense has looked the part for Dallas. Credit to Dallas. They put up decent amount of points in week 1, but they could easily be 0-2 right now. And I'm going to loop the Vikings in here because without a miraculous fourth quarter comeback against the Bears, Minnesota also is 0-2. So different paths to be potentially 0-2 for both of these teams, but I'm going to put them in the same group right now. You could easily be 0-2, but you're not. You're 1-1.
Yeah, these are 2 interesting teams because Dak Prescott is a much better current quarterback than J.J. McCarthy obviously is. But I think the Vikings roster, when healthy, is levels above Dallas's overall roster. Dallas has a couple fun little weapons here and there. So what rises to the top, or can either one of these teams get to the 9 or 10 wins needed to get to the playoffs because of Dak and Dallas or because of a roster getting healthy and more competitive with the Vikings? But they're lucky that they aren't in a deeper hole for sure.
Panic button, and it's just question. Panic button for both these teams. Again, 2 different paths here and 2 different situations. The Chiefs are 0-2. Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 straight games for the first time, I believe, in his NFL career, going back to the Super Bowl loss, and then the 0-2 start this year. And the Bengals finally get off to a decent start for the first time. Finally, you are 2-0, but your star quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, might be out for months. So I put them in panic button question mark because the Chiefs are 0-2. The Bengals are going to have to play Jake Browning likely for a foreseeable future. I know he's seeking second opinions. Burrow is, and maybe it's not.
It's a wrap.
Is it confirmed now?
He had
it's confirmed
surgery.
he's out. He had surgery on his toe.
Yeah, he's out for months.
So, yeah, panic button. I mean, two different 0-2 and 2-0 teams. Kind of interesting here, but it's a panic button.
How cooked is Travis Kelce, by the way?
Well, he's sick of this bleep on the sideline.
Well,
I don't know if
I'm
you
sick
saw
of
that
him.
clip.
I'm tired of him.
Bro, why are you announcing your engagement, 5 minutes before the season starts?
But that ball
Let's
that he
calm down.
tipped at the goal line, basically, that got
was
picked
pretty
off, that was awful.
That was a great pass by Mahomes, too. He
Yes.
just chucked that in there.
But that's the type of pass that Mahomes implicitly trusts Kelce to make the catch. And not only does he not make the catch, he tips it to the guy.
Here's the underbelly of the Chiefs is a damning one. And the fact that they are well coached enough and well quarterbacked enough, and their defense has been good enough to kind of overcome this the last couple of years, but they have not ranked higher than 15th in scoring offense since 2022.
Yeah, wow.
So they've been well outside the top 10 offensively for now a third straight year. They have a decidedly mid offense despite having an all-time great offensive head coach and quarterback. So now their defense the last couple of years has been good enough to kind of overcome it, and they get into these close games. And if you're in a close game against Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Steve Spagnuolo, you're at a disadvantage. But they are 0-2 with Baltimore, Detroit, Washington, Buffalo, and Denver all lurking on their schedule the next couple months. The Chargers aren't going anywhere, I don't think, in that division.
Yeah,
it's a tough division, man.
That division's good, and the conference is pretty good.
It's a fun new challenge, though. Like, if you're a Chiefs fan or you work for the team, it's like, yeah, it's getting kind of boring to just beat everyone all the time. So you might as well start with an 0-2 record and see if you can dig
They're
yourself.
probably so entitled by now, though. They're like, what's going on here? Fire somebody.
Look at this category.
Few
Quite
chunks
simply.
of tears left. Things are bad. Things are bad. So Jets, Titans, Panthers. Like Cam Ward, it's a project. Maybe I should give the Titans a little bit more grace here. But the Jets and Panthers, Justin Fields being evaluated for a concussion. It's classic Jets. Carolina, I thought was going to be a little bit more exciting and better in 2025, and maybe I'm still a little early on putting them in completely bad tier. Maybe they can rebound. We'll see. But there's a decided line between all the other teams and these three teams here, and especially with one more tier of teams that have already played. So things are bad if you're a Jets, Panthers, or Titans fan.
Bryce Young looked like, because when I looked at the box score, his numbers looked okay, but his start was brutal, right? I mean, he fumbled the ball, he threw a pick early. I feel like of those three teams, Cam Ward, I'm curious about, and I'm fairly bullish on him. But other than that, I think you could definitively say things are bad at quarterback. And Justin Fields was sort of back to being Justin Fields on Sunday. So we'll see. But I do have real Bryce Young questions.
Yeah, Bryce Young, I caught chunks of that through Red Zone. And even when that game kind of opened back up and they recovered an onside kick and it was just chaos offensively. I don't think the yardage and the statistics match the eye test of what happened in that game yesterday. And I'm wrong on a couple things here. So I thought the Panthers, and who knows, their schedule is still pretty weak, but they're 0-2 now. I thought they were going to come out and be competitive and maybe be like above 500 halfway through the year and be in the playoff mix. We'll see what happens. And then I was one of many people that thought the Jets are going to be one of those upset alert teams. Watch out, Buffalo. You're going to walk in. They're going to be playing defense. Justin Fields running around. And no, fart noise.
You stink, tier.
Wow.
You stink, which is the Browns, Dolphins. Oh, my God, I have a takeaway on that. Giants, Saints, Bears. You guys stink. The Mike McDaniel post-game presser yesterday. Did you guys catch that?
I did.
About him being fired?
Oh, my God.
Or about job security?
Well, the comment about, when you don't win games, you end up losing them, and, we want obviously to win games. Like it was
God.
he's kind of an awkward speaker, obviously, but like it was a perfect encapsulation of, oh buddy, this, like when your offense is working and it's humming and you're this new age head coach, it's great. You can maybe sometimes fumble your way through the podium. Oh, it was painful to watch. So all these teams belong in the you stink tier. I still like Kellen Moore, and I want to see what he can do with a full-fledged roster, but that's going to take a little bit of time in an impatient league. But
Yeah.
These guys all belong, rightfully so, in a you stink tier.
The Giants showed a nice flash for a minute. Russell Wilson turning back the clock 10 years with 450 yards, but then a classic Russell Wilson YOLO ball for the game-sealing interception.
I don't think the Saints are impatient. I think the Saints love this. I think this is the goal. I think they don't care, and they shouldn't care. Take the draft pick.
Yeah, I meant impatient, like as in like if you're a Saints fan or if you're like a league fan, like
if you're not in on the tank, then you're not part of the club.
I think the Saints had a pretty nice run for a long time with Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and they probably should have won more than the one Super Bowl. But there's been a reckoning coming for years, a cap reckoning, and they're just they're gonna eat it in 2025. They're gonna win about 2 or 3 games, and we'll see who they draft.
Then last year, because it's the 4 teams that play on Monday Night Football, I'm just calling it a pivotal Monday night because I can't really make a judgment with these 4 teams in another tier yet because I've only seen them play once. So it's the 2 Monday Night Football matchups grouped into one tier, which is the Bucks, Chargers, Texans, and Raiders. Pivotal Monday night because after this we can at least have a couple game samples. You know, we do the NFL takes. I do these tiers on a Monday. So there's going to be some times where teams, we're early enough right now where it's hard to make it a judgment on. But a pivotal Monday night in the Dex tier rankings for all 4 of these teams. And we'll see who comes out on top. So, that's about as... What did I have? How many categories did I have here?
I love it, dude.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had 10. Wow. I had 10 tiers.
Wow, dude.
10 tiers. So there you
Let's
go. There you go.
Love it. Dex's Tiers, presented in part by Grandpa's Barbecue, by the way. A little dry rub seasoning on those tiers.
Oh, I just used some of the sauce that's in there. I mean, I'm using the sauce on all the tiers. That might be the next tier. Who's the sauce? Because juice is temporary, but sauce is forever. So Grandpa's Barbecue Shop.com. You can find them locally, too, in the Twin Cities at Fratelloni locations. So go to grandpa'sbarbecueshop.com. Your proceeds also go out and support xeroderma pigmentosum, which is a disorder where people are affected by UV light disorders. So you're also helping out a good cause, too. grandpa'sbarbecueshop.com for all your BBQ needs.
Also, North American Banking Company powering NFL takes. 6 locations in the Twin Cities and Minnesota-based since 1998. I've gotten to know the folks at North American Banking Company over the last year or so, and I can tell you they are very friendly, knowledgeable people that value personal relationships and also cutting-edge online tools. So it's easy just to stick with the bank you always have, but are you really getting the experience that you want? And if you have questions, North American Banking Company can make the transition easy. Go to nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankcode.com/Mackey, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Do you guys, just for fun here, how many coaches do you think are going to get fired in season right now? Like old Mikey Mack down there in Miami, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the odds-on favorite. Right now, who's getting canned? Call it after week 2, before the season's over.
McDaniel, Dable, Stefanski will survive the season and then be fired. I mean, he should
start.
He should quit.
Tough,
he should. Well, and he's being. I'm guessing he's being forced to start Joe Flacco. Who starts Joe Flacco? I mean, he's a statue. Like, you literally could have played that game. I think it was in Baltimore, right? The Cleveland.
It was homecoming.
If there was a statue to Flacco for the Super Bowl win, you could have picked that statue up if you were the Browns, plucked it on the field, and said, "This is our quarterback, Joe Flacco."
Judd is like every guy at a Cleveland bar. Who starts Joe Flacco? Like that's what I hear the Cleveland sports fan in Judd there of who starts this guy.
Are we at the point where like Cleveland sports media and fans think that Shedeur Sanders is the solution to all of this?
Well, did you see the reports now where they're saying that he's not even running the scout teams? the scout team in practice. I mean, I get
Weird, man.
like he's just been forgotten about.
Yeah.
But it was very clear that the owner, Jimmy Haslam, who has his own issues, told them when Shedeur fell to the 5th round, they had to take him.
I think, here's a fun exercise. Of all the 0-2 teams here, I'm gonna throw these out.
Yep.
More likely, if you had to pick one or the other, playoffs or fire coach in season.
Okay.
No in between, Judd.
Okay.
I think Chiefs 0-2, Andy Reid's not getting fired. It's playoffs,
Nope.
right?
Yep.
Panthers 0-2 with a weak schedule, but an impatient owner. Dave Canales,
Well, then
probably
fire.
more likely to be fired, right?
Likely to be fired. Yep.
Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, I think we already kind of
Well,
touched
fire
on
because they're not going to make the
that.
playoffs with that
Yeah.
offense.
Aaron Glenn, first year with the Jets, more likely to make the playoffs after an 0-2 start or get fired before his first season's over.
Well, I mean, with only 2 choices, it's fired
Oh, wow.
because they're not making the playoffs.
They're going to beat the Dolphins, right?
Well, but that's exactly. I mean, that's
almost
going to be
beat
your
the Steelers
consolation
in week
prize.
1.
I mean, he won't be fired, but if you're going to force me, he's more of a like the Chiefs. I could see the Chiefs coming back and making the playoffs. You've not
for
given
sure.
me one team since then that I could plausibly, in my mind, justify them or get them into the playoffs.
Kellen Moore probably not getting fired in the middle of his first season in which the organization.
But they're not making the playoffs, so he's fired.
Yeah, so he's fired. Sorry. Not gonna work anymore. Dolphins, we touched down. How about the Titans? 0-2. That division is still fairly gettable at 0-2.
Yeah, the path is easier. There's a path of least resistance there.
Yeah.
I could see Brian Callahan, though, if they get through the season and
I'll
things have
take
not
back.
gone smooth with Cam Ward, I could see him being fired.
Yeah. How about the Bears? More likely that the Ben Johnson thing is a complete disaster
Again,
on every level, and
fired.
they get fired mid-season or his first year, or they make the playoffs after.
I don't think they're making the playoffs, so.
Oh my god.
The answer has to be, though, playoffs, doesn't it? They invested a lot. I think Ben Johnson became a very, very wealthy man with that contract. But I also don't see.
He's not. No, he's not getting fired. But I mean, I don't think I can get them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then the only team tonight, the Texans are the only team looking to avoid 0-2, hosting the Buccaneers tonight.
I could see them making the playoffs.
Yeah. Again, gettable division.
Yep.
Although the Colts are making it a little bit. The Colts are like a well put together operation. It appears they can run the football. If Daniel Jones doesn't turn the ball over, they can put up points and yards.
The real question, once September is done, is what hot start team falls apart.
That could be a question for maybe next week on
Because there's
Purple
usually
Daily
one
NFL Takes.
I got a couple teams that I could see with good starts just start to disintegrate.
We should wait till there's like a batch of 3-0 teams and see.
Sure, yeah, 3 or 4.
2-0 is always like, yeah, okay.
2 weeks in, you can't do much with.
The Cardinals are 2-0. Congrats. Let's see what happens. You're playing the 49ers next week.
Don't disagree.
So, all right, those are some NFL takes here on Purple Daily. Yeah, you've got Vikings Vent Line from last night, which was almost 2 hours of therapy. Our hottest Vikings takes from this Monday morning live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Click that like button and the subscribe button if you enjoy these takes. We'll see you guys later.